Hello and welcome to the Sunshine Connection. My name is Ian or Platy the Sunshine Platypus, and I'm here having a conversation with Matthew today.
Hello, everyone.
Um, we are going to be talking about food, specifically growing it, and how we might come to a place in our world where we can address getting food to everybody, so everybody has food on their table to eat and is are not hungry. Um, to start things off, I would just like to share an idea that I have around that. One of the things that we
Hmm.
both really relate on and have experienced is having the opportunity to work on farms. You much more so than I in your experience, from what I've heard, which is awesome to hear
Yeah,
about. And in general, my experience has been that it is very rewarding work and really amazing to know that I am helping to grow food for many people. And also, my experience has been that it's also very hard work, physically,
hmm,
and potentially long days and hours and such. And
sure.
that it can be very all consuming. And looking at our current models of food for different people, is that we have a farmer growing food for a large amount
Hmm.
of people, a big community, a town, a
All
city,
day, every day.
right, all day,
No,
every day. That's
no,
their whole focus. And with that comes a lot of things of like, if there's a bad year or something, that's a lot of
sure,
pressure on the individual farmer. Yeah.
sure.
Um, and so I always like to see ways where we transition from maybe old systems that don't work as well, and models such as, the big farming and monoculture and all that kind of stuff,
Hmm.
and how we bridge and transition to a new way. And I think a great way that is currently existing in that is farmers markets,
Sure.
where it provides a marketplace for farmers to come together and do all that. Um, and yeah, I think I'll open it up there. I do
Yeah,
want to tell more about an idea that I have to share on that, but yeah, I'd like to just invite you to
yeah.
jump in.
So I've had two farms in Santa Barbara before, and one was just over on Hope Avenue, and it was called Siddhartha Gautama Organic Farm. And later, during COVID, I had a farm up on West Camino Cielo, just called bergquist Organics, which is my last name. But the real dream is to create something in northern Portugal. I've told Ian, and I had him visit a place called Arcos de Valdevez, which is really beautiful. It's up in the Minho. And the idea is to, I don't know, have that farm, live on it, but then take the produce to a storefront that I open, a co-op, a small lazy acres, something like this, and to be able to sell it with other farmers and help feed people. But the long-term goal is to make enough to be able to open sustainable farms in Africa, in Asia, to be able to sell things in, I don't know, 7-Eleven type places where the food is all subsidized for just people can go in for pennies and buy whatever they need. I mean, it really shouldn't cost them anything to feed people. And I guess one thing we were talking about earlier is that um, yeah, like his point is that it's such a strain on the individual farmer to feed everyone. And I definitely feel that. But also, it's so unfortunate that you have to, I don't know, play by capitalism's rules in order to feed everybody. And we're talking about the shadow. How did you place that?
Um, well, I think just the challenge around um, such a maybe monetization, or you bring
Yeah.
up capitalism, is that are we looking at systems that ultimately support the people and feeding
Hmm.
them, or are we working with subsidization that is making it so it's cheaper to eat junk food than it is to eat wholesome food.
Hmm.
And yeah, I generally, I like to focus on, I really believe where attention goes, energy flows. So I like to just look at some of the challenges of society in a small
Okay.
context to have an awareness of where we're coming from and maybe what's not working and what's not supporting greater humanity and the collective. And then putting most of the focus, I like to just throw a number of 95% of the focus on where do we want to go? What is the
Hmm.
positive direction? Because if we put all of our or most of our energy into that, then it
Sure.
can bring about the change and the reality that we actually are wanting. Whereas if we focus too much on what we don't want, well, it just brings more of that, because
Hmm.
that's where our focus and our reality is. So,
We were also
um,
talking about the tipping point, that it really doesn't need to have too many people to invest in the new future and what we want to create in the communities we want to create, and the distancing ourselves from the reality that we live in now. Maybe I was throwing out the number 10%, but
yeah.
of the world, I don't think it would take that many people.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, and on that note, so to come to one of my ideas about how we can do this, and something I always mention in these videos is how do we address this idea of a feeling of helplessness that many of us can feel,
Mm-hmm.
and especially in recent times in our world. How can we empower ourselves as individuals and that question of, well, what can I do? I'm just one person and there's all these challenging things out there that make it so it feels impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing, one idea around that, specifically with food and growing, is looking at models that we've already just naturally done as human beings, and that would be on the idea of a food garden, a vegetable garden out in
Mm-hmm.
our backyards. This is something that many of us at some point in our lives or currently have, is a vegetable garden. And this is something that for many people starts as a voluntary hobby, if you will. That it's, oh, I have a backyard or I have a space to plant something, or maybe even if it's, you're in the city and you
Mm-hmm.
have like a flower pot with herbs growing in your windowsill, whatever, using what you have available to do such a thing. And so taking that natural thing that's already been happening around the world
Mm-hmm.
that people are doing just as a hobby, and oftentimes there's that added reason that people do it to grow their own food, to either save money or just know where their food comes from, or know that it's nutrients, or that they've put their love and care into it, and that connection that feels good. um, that there is also just that basic idea that, oh, this is something that's a fun hobby that I like to do. So
Mm-hmm.
if we extend that natural interest, not necessarily out of a need, but out of a, oh, this is kind of fun, I'll do
Yeah.
that, to, well, what if we take that and extend it to every unit of living has a garden that grows food. So that could be your biological family living in
Mm-hmm.
a house. That could be you living in your apartment. That could be you living in a community of 20 people on the land, wherever that fits in. And you grow food for that collective, and the added benefit that if you have others living with you, that it's a shared
Mm-hmm.
responsibility and not all on your shoulders, and also again a fun thing to do together, etc., all the other added benefits to that. And I think of, especially coming into how much food can we grow. I mean, there is all the aspects of like, are we getting all our nutrients? Can we grow food to hit all of the proteins, etc., which is definitely doable. um, but looking at what we need to sustain ourselves, and just thinking, growing zucchini in my garden, it's
Yeah.
super easy. Everyone in zucchini season is trying to give away their
Yeah. Yeah.
zucchini, and
Yeah.
if you let it grow to like a zucchini this big,
Yeah,
it's
the smaller
giant.
ones are better.
Right,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure, for sure. But just point being is that you can grow
yeah. Yeah,
abundance of food in a small amount pretty
sure.
easily. And so if we look at growing more food than we need to sustain our own bodies or our family unit that we are
Mm,
living with, let's just say that you could also pretty easily, with it still being more in the direction of a hobby level than a farming level, grow, to put a number on it,
mm,
3 times the amount of food that one would need for your living unit. So if we take that number of 3 and we say, okay, well, so we take 1 unit of those 3 to feed our unit here, our home unit. Okay, well, we still have 2 units left of food.
mm.
So let's say that our neighbor, either their crops get blight or something, or the season wipes out their entire crop. They have no food to eat. Okay, well, so we give our neighbor that 1 unit of food.
Mhm.
I'll use my middle fingers. And so now our neighbor's taken care of, we are taken care of,
Mm,
and we still have 1 unit of food left that's an abundance, a surplus of
mm.
food for whatever purpose. We have an extra unit of food. Great.
Trading.
Yeah, well, and so that's the cool
Yeah.
thing. Yes, trading is an amazing thing, especially like
Yeah.
if you're growing tomatoes and I'm growing eggplants and we trade
Mhm.
for that. The cool thing about trading is in that number system of the 3 units, well, trading can
Still,
happen within each of those units, right?
yeah, yeah.
Because if I trade even like, let's just say we're only doing eggplants and tomatoes,
Mhm.
I trade half of my unit of food of tomatoes to you for half a unit of eggplants. Well, that's still just out of that 1 unit, right? So I'm not depleting
Sure.
from those other ones. So basically, point being, and again, these are just voluntary numbers that I'm throwing out there to differentiate between, growing in a context where it doesn't envelop our whole lives and our full long day of farming, and just moving in that direction of the spectrum to also where it just feels naturally exciting for us because it's like, oh, cool, I grew my own vegetables in my vegetable garden.
Yeah, and I mean, to make a joke about it, I would love if everyone do that because it would save my back.
Yeah,
It shouldn't, and it shouldn't be put upon one person's back. It should be taught. Growing food, soil health should be taught while we're young. And like you were saying, someone posed the question of what would you do if you couldn't get money out of your bank account tomorrow? I mean, do you know how to feed yourself? This should be taught young, and I would love if everyone took responsibility for it. And if everyone did take responsibility and had a surplus, like you're saying, we'd have a wealth of food. There'd be no one hungry. And there's no reason that anyone should be hungry. And I would like to combat this, but I would love if I could get help to do it as well.
definitely.
No.
And yeah, so I'm curious on your ideas. I love, by the way, your idea
Thank you.
of, having the farms and extending that to multiple farms to provide this
Mm,
food. And I also want to bring in this idea that I believe is the greater context of overarching theme to move forward to in the collective around this idea of decentralization is
mm,
to re-empower ourselves as human beings, that there's no longer a hierarchy so much. I mean, yes, it is good, helpful to have leaders that act more as guides for, again, the common good and the benefit of humanity, and also this idea of decentralization, to that everybody is taking that self-responsibility to grow our own food and then support each other and care for each other.
mm.
So again, to this idea of how could we shift from having a few big farms
Yeah,
to do that? And I think what your point
yeah,
is about the education and learning from a young age how to
absolutely.
build soil. I can't remember what the video is called. I think it's like Courage to Grow or something like that, about
Mm,
soil being the number one biggest,
absolutely.
most important
You
thing
grow
to
soil, you
address.
don't grow food.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I guess my question would be, what are ways that we can decentralize this specific area of
Mm,
food and providing food for everybody so that it's still even goes beyond coming to one of your farms or one of any of these
mhm.
farms? And I would just throw out there the possibility of including a education model at such a farm to be like, hey, here's
Absolutely.
food you can come by, like you said, for a low cost so that people can be getting
Yeah.
good food from your farm. And also here we're offering that we can show you how to do this yourself or something. I don't know,
I
just an
love to
idea.
teach people how to farm. I mean, I learned how to farm from other people at a young age, and I think it's crucial to pass on these gifts from one generation to the next. And I think the answer to basically everything I've seen you ever talk about in your videos is education and re-educating people. And I love your idea of play along with finding this education to shift us from the old paradigms, but also to have fun while doing it. I
Yeah.
mean, come on, dude. If we're not having fun in this life, what are we doing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yes, I've like to see everything as much as I can through the
Mm,
lens of play, because that's the thing that there somewhere along the way there's been this separation that you play as a child and then you become an adult and then you're serious and self-responsible and
mm,
all that. And I asked the question, well, can we not do both? Can
right.
we not be self-responsible, work, do the things, and play? And I've experienced that plenty in a lot of my communities, like down in Costa Rica or around the world,
Mm,
or even building festivals. And Burning Man is like, yeah, we're building stuff, we're
mm,
doing things, we're growing food, etc., and
yeah.
we're having fun and playing while we do it. And how
Mm,
much that brings to the connection amongst all the people that are involved,
mm,
and also this joy and excitement to do it. So it brings things away from this idea of like, work in the context of, for many of us, can have a negative connotation. We're like, oh, I have to go to work, but it's like,
mm,
oh, I get to go to work because
yeah.
I'm going to be playing with my friends and my
Mm.
family, and just having a
That's
great time.
that's actually how we met in a past job. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. We had some definitely fun, good times
Yeah.
there for sure. Um, and yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but
No, it's always best to see where it takes us.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Oh, that's where I was going. I just want to give a shout out to one project and person. I don't know if you know the musician, artist, DJ, etc., the Polish ambassador.
I've heard him. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, I love his music, and his partner is Ayla Nerio. And one thing that's really amazing, that what brought it to mind when we were talking about play, and especially with growing food
Hmm.
and stuff, is that they organize these parties where they come and do a collective thing to support you, either a community or a project or something. Oftentimes planting and growing food, like building a
Mm.
garden. And so they invite a lot of people to come help and build together, and then they celebrate afterwards, and
Cool.
they play music, and just it's a big
Cool.
dance party. Which for me, I'm just all a fan of dance
Yeah.
parties. Like,
Yeah.
anytime I'm in a
Yeah.
community where we're like, dancing while we're working, and still getting stuff done, I'm like, yes, this is
Yeah.
this is my jam
That's your
here.
jam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out for that project, and just encouraging more of that in our world. That's, yeah, an intention that I have to share more of that in any project I get involved in. And yeah, just this idea where we combine hard work with
Yeah.
celebration and
Yeah.
coming together. I think that's
Super
really
cool.
powerful.
Super cool. That's
Yeah.
that's the way it should be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And also this idea of collective work together. Another aspect of that project, which I really love the idea of, is how we can collaborate together. And this is something that I feel anytime I'm going with projects.
Yeah.
Like I was just in Portugal, going between different eco projects, helping co-create them. And how do each of those projects come
Mm.
together to support each other? And one thought I have on that, and again, it's borrowing from old ways and times, is this idea of raising the roof on a barn,
Mm.
and basically model where you have your farm going on and you need help, let's say
Yeah.
raising the barn or whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So all of the community, all the other projects or people in the area, the neighbors, we all come together for a weekend, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and many hands make light work. We're all like, hey, Matthew, we're going to come
Yeah.
build your barn for you, and again, do it all together in collaboration, celebrate afterwards doing it.
Yeah.
And then the next weekend we come and help make my vegetable beds. And then the next
Yeah.
weekend we go to our other neighbors and help with whatever project they're doing. So
Yeah.
it's this idea that rather than on the individual focus, like it's a lot of freaking work to get a
Mm.
farm started or
Yeah.
whatever it is. Well, how do we work together and make best use of our time and
Yeah.
our enthusiasm, motivation, all the pieces to bring it together in the best way possible?
Brotherhood and sisterhood is essential in, I don't know what else I was going to say on that, but that's why I'm so attracted to Portugal and Spain, is just because the coolest people are trying to collaborate there right now. And that's one thing Ian and I have always had in common, is that we want to create this places for play or to grow food. And all the best minds seem to be congregating in that area right now.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think I'm imagining it, but a lot of interesting people are going there right now.
definitely.
You were just there,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes, for sure. Um, it's funny. I want to invite any other thoughts. Sometimes these videos get really long. Like the last one was like 45
yeah.
minutes and stuff, which is totally cool.
Yeah,
We can go down so many rabbit holes, but it
sure.
feels like a kind of culmination point. And I
Yeah,
just want to open it up to any things that feel like you would like to share. And also, again, on that note of offering whoever's watching just some
yeah.
ideas around what can I, what can you do today, now, tomorrow,
Okay.
in the coming days that's very accessible, regardless of how much money you have, regardless of your location, etc. What is something that we could
Um,
do that empowers ourselves in this kind of theme
okay.
and topic?
Today, what you can do, I mean, I just went to an amazing seed swap at the community arts place down a garden a couple weeks ago, and got a ton of free seeds and talked to people that are interested in the same things. But what I would do if I want to grow a little garden, I would just go out to Island Seed and Feed, go out to Matthew out there and get a couple seed packets and a couple six packs of plants, and start growing. And the most beautiful thing about growing is it's all trial and error, and the fun in it. So, and then in the future, I would say people come out to Portugal and Spain and join us and see, come like you're a woofer, and we'll give you a place to sleep and some food if you help us. Check for bergquist organics in the future. I think I'm going to use that name. And yeah, I think the tipping point is near. I think we're getting there. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. And yeah, I would love to add just on to piggyback on your points there. Definitely, of course, come visit any of those places across the pond or wherever. Obviously, we're here in California right now, so I want
Yeah.
to just comment on that note because I, in my own journey, have been a seeker for a long time, and I'm always bouncing around trying to find the place to do these things. And I'm doing stuff along the way, but I just want to point out that wherever you are now, whether we're
Yeah.
here in Santa Barbara, maybe not having our own farm or whatever. But again, to your point of just experiment, play around, whatever you can do
Hmm.
in your current place. Again, today, if you
Yeah.
would like to, go to buy some seeds and either soil or just get some soil from your backyard. You don't have to spend money on it.
Hmm.
And again, on the seed thing, I want to point out that there's a lot of places in communities that offer seed exchange,
Yeah.
as you mentioned, or free seeds. Especially reach
Yeah.
out to universities, oftentimes, like in Ithaca, New York, where I have a connection with, they have Cornell Cooperative Extension,
Mhm.
and you can go get free seeds from there. So again, you don't need a penny. You can get some
Yeah.
free seeds from anywhere. Maybe you have friends or family. You could ask for some seeds. Don't pay for soil. Just go
No.
dig some up where it looks nice, and there you go, a
All the
free
best things are
project.
free. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. And also on the note, if when you are supporting places, like to really use your intuition, your heart, your feeling, like, does it feel better to me to go buy seeds from some big store that maybe I don't get such a warm fuzzy feeling from? I won't mention any names of
Hmm.
stores. Or do I go down to, like you said here, Island Seed and Feed is an amazing local store with really
Hmm.
great people. Every time I go there, I feel really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, feel into that, and use our money when we're using it to
To
put and
vote.
support, yeah, to
Yeah.
vote
Yeah.
the world that we want to see and the people doing the things that feel good to us.
Yeah. Coolian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Matthew. Thank
Yeah.
you for
Thank you.
chatting. And
Yeah.
you know I'm a hugger. Can I give you a
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
hug? So lots of love to you all. Get out there and do whatever excites you.
Hmm.
And yeah, get your hands in the soil. You get that serotonin comes from getting your
Grounding.
fingers
Yeah.
grounding, get those bare feet, dip in the mud,
Hmm.
whatever.
Playing
Do
the sprinklers.
play,
Yeah.
yes, play. Whatever you do, have fun
Hmm.
doing it. And yeah, I hope for you have lots of smiles and laughter along the way with good people.
Yeah.
So lots of love, and see you
Peace, you
next
guys.
time on Sunshine Connection.